視聴者さんからいただいた質問にお答えします。今回は7人の方から質問いただきました。ありがとうございます。前より多くの質問をいただけてとっても嬉しいことです。できるだけ分かりやすく丁寧に解説していきますね。あとはね、今回の動画はいつもより少し長くなってしまいますので、チャプター機能を使えばすぐ気になる質問に飛べます。この画面の下にそれをクリックしてその質問に飛べます。あとはね、このパソコン画面を見ながら話しますね。いつものスタイルとちょっと違いますね。それから大事なところだけをテロップ、そのグラフィックを入れてます。よろしくお願いします。Okay, let's get started with the first question. Off we go! Our first question is from Rick Ito. Thanks very much for your question, Rick. Let's take a look at it. So Rick gave us a big long spiel here, but I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to read the important question here. It says, this time I got a question from the Zorro Act. You say, I am doing some very important work here around the time 1505, and I wondered how different work, job, and task are. When you have the next question video, please answer me. Okay, so I'm going to try and answer that question right now. So the basic question is, what is the difference between the words work, job, and task? I've had this kind of thing before. A lot of people kind of don't really know the difference between them. So basically, I'm going to break it down into the three and talk about them. So the first one is job. What is a job? This is a position that you have, a job. It's like a regular official role that you have, and you get paid money to do it. That's an important point. You get paid money to do it. So the key point here is, if you can put a name to it, then it's a job. If it has a name, then you can say it's a job. So I'm an English instructor. That's my job. I hate my job. I want to find something better. What kind of job are you looking for? Okay, so job is a title, it's a position, it usually has a name. Now moving on to work, this is like the effort or the activity that you do, well, basically within your job. It's a very general expression. So it can be part of a job or just a good old-fashioned effort. Elbow grease, as we say. And remember, it's a non-countable noun, so we never ever say I work. So work is always non-countable. A lot of people make a mistake with that one. So some example sentences would be, I have a lot of work to do today. Too much work is making him exhausted. We need to divide the work equally. Okay, so work is a very general term used for effort and the activities that you do within your job. It's a very general term. Compare that to task. Now, this is one small piece of work. Again, it's a countable noun, a task, or I have some tasks. It's a countable noun. Imagine it like a pizza. I came up with this idea. Imagine it like a pizza. The whole pizza is work, but one slice of pizza is a task. So work is the pizza. A task is a slice of pizza. It's like one of the little jobs that you have to do at your work. So it's usually a very, very specific thing that you need to do in your work. For example, answering the telephone or writing a report, it is a task. So example sentences, each team member has a different task. I have 3 tasks to complete today. It's a simple task, but it needs focus. Okay, so that was my breakdown. That's my take on the 3 different words, work, job, and task. So They're actually pretty clear when you look at it like this, but when it comes to conversation, it's sometimes difficult to differentiate between the three. Okay, I hope that answers your question, Rick. Okay, the next question we've got is from Mitsuru. Thanks, Mitsuru, for your fantastic question. Let's take a look. Now, it says, I have a question about the verb have. The reason I started having questions about it was because I came across the phrase, I've been had, on YouTube. I had no idea about this meaning at first, so I looked it up. The internet says that it means something like getting cheated. Now, here's the key points here. I also realized that the verb have has many uses in daily conversations. The common theme is that it conveys the idea of having something such as objects, time, space, ideas, people, and so on. The below sentences are difficult to use in daily conversation for me. Let's take a look at these. I will have my husband pick your kids up after school. She had her waiting for 3 hours. I will not have my underage kids going to the party. She's not having it. I have had it with you two arguing. Okay, so there you can see that was the main thing that Mitsuru was talking about there. So we have to look at the verb have, yeah? So have is one of those incredibly versatile verbs. Now, according to research carried out by COCA, the Corpus of Contemporary American English, it's the second most commonly used verb in American English. And now here is the top 20 that I'm looking at right now, over there in that corner, I have up in my classroom. So you can see the first one is be, the next one is have. So be, have, and then do. So those are the top verbs which are used according to frequency in American English. So your first question was about the expression, I was had. I was had. I was had. So that's a good one, isn't it? As you said, this means to be fooled, cheated, or bamboozled. Do you remember when I said bamboozled in my recent verb video, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago? Bamboozled. So it's an expression that has become shorter over the years, and originally it comes from something longer like this. He had me believing his story. So eventually this led to the passive form, I was had. So it came from a very long expression, and because it was very long, they made it much shorter. I was had, I was fooled, I was cheated, I was bamboozled. Okay? So let's take a look at the other sentence that you were having trouble with. The first one was, I will have my husband pick your kids up after school. So if you have someone do it, it's like you ask them or somehow kind of make them do something. So maybe they don't want to do it, but you kind of force them. I'll have my husband do it. Maybe he's at home, he's watching TV, but the wife says, hey, go and pick up the kids. Maybe he doesn't want to, but I'll have him do it. I'll make him do it. The next one, she had her waiting for 3 hours. Again, we're using it like make or force someone to do something. In this case, it's definitely something against their will. Yeah, something they didn't want to do. To have someone waiting, to have someone do something. So that's quite a common expression. Oh, she had me waiting for 3 hours at the station. Oh, he always has me waiting. To have someone waiting, it feels like a very negative expression. The next one was, I will not have my underage kids going to this party. Now in this sentence, have is being used a little bit differently in that it's used like allow, to give them permission to do something. So it's usually used in a negative way. Another example would be, I will not have you coming home at 1 a.m. It's way too late for a teenager. So I'll not have you doing something, like I'll not have you sleeping on the floor. Get up, go to bed. Or I'll not have you eating cake with your fingers. No, use a fork. So it's like giving someone permission, but as I said, it's quite often used in a negative way. I will not have you doing something. The next one, she's not having it. So this one is actually quite simple. Well, I think it's quite simple. She's not going to accept your behavior or stupid decisions. So it's something you would say when you're angry or mad about something, you know. It is, of course, the behavior. So he says he wants a motorbike, but I'm not having it. Yeah, can you get a feeling? It means that you disagree because having a motorbike is dangerous and you don't want it to happen. He says he wants a motorbike, but I'm not having it. I don't accept. I don't agree. I'm not having it. And the next one is, I have had it with you two arguing. This is, again, a slightly different way of using have. This basically means, I have had enough. Or I can't take any more. I have had it. Like if your kids are always getting into trouble at school, or your husband never helps with the homework, the house, I should say. I've had it. Now, it comes from the expression, I have had it up to here. So, which is usually said with this gesture, I have had it up to here. Meaning you're full. You have no space left in your body, your mind, or your soul. もう限界だ. I guess that's what it feels like. I have had it. Okay. The next question we've got is from AU. Oh, sounds like a phone company or something. AU. So this person says, when writing in English, sometimes I forget to use a, an, or the, or I don't know which one to use. Are there any tips to help me easily remember which articles to use and when? I would be happy if you could let me know. When should you use a, an, or the? Wow, this is a huge topic that I've been wanting, actually for a long time. I have been wanting to make a mega video which outlines the use of a, an, and the, but it's just so big. It's kind of overwhelming for me because it's so big, and I keep putting it off and putting it off until I'm not so busy, and I just never get round to it. Now, in English grammar, a, and the are called articles. They are small but powerful words that come before nouns to give the listener or reader more information about which thing you're talking about. They're like pointing a big finger at something. Pointing a big finger at something. So I can't go into great detail about this, but I'll give you some little pieces of advice that could, I hope, act as a kind of a starting point to give you a deeper understanding of an and the. So let's look at it like this, okay? The first time you talk about something in a conversation, you use a or an, okay? The second time you talk about in the same conversation, you use the. Okay, so the first time we're not talking about a specific thing to begin with. So it's kind of like, nice to meet you. So we use a or an. But the second time that you talk about it in the same conversation, you know, everybody knows, we know what that thing is. You started to kind of become friends. Therefore, we use the. So, okay, an example said, I bought a new jacket. A new jacket? Nice. I bought the jacket at H&M. This isn't working out live, is it? Okay, let's try it again. I bought a new jacket. A new jacket? Nice. I bought the jacket at H&M. And was the jacket expensive? It was about 4,000 yen. Okay, so when I talked about the jacket at first, I used a jacket. But once the other person knows what jacket I'm talking about, we change it to the. Okay, so the first time is a jacket, and then, oh, okay, I know what you're talking about. Next time we say the jacket. So a changes to the because we know. So a and the, and the, there's a really, really big topic, but I've got a grammar book which it is over like 20 pages just talking about a and an and the. So, you know, it's a huge topic, but I hope my jacket example helps to make things, you know, a little bit simpler in one tiny point about a, an, and the. I bought a jacket. The jacket was from H&M. Start off with a, and then the. The next question is from @Yoshi489. Let's take a look. I would play tennis. This sentence means that I played tennis, but I don't play tennis lately. Number 2, I could get the ticket yesterday. This sentence means that I got the ticket yesterday and I have the ticket now. Both sentence 1 and 2 mean the fact of the past and the present, but play and get are the base forms of a verb. The base form of a verb doesn't have a tense, so it shouldn't mean the fact of the past and the present. I can't understand the reason why these sentences mean the fact of the past and the present. May I have your explanation, Scott Sensei? Oh, I'm a sensei today. Straight off the bat, what you're noticing is completely true for both of those sentences. I would play tennis and I could get the ticket yesterday. So they use the base forms of play and get. And you're also right by saying the base form itself doesn't show tense. But here is an important point. The tense of the verb is determined by the modal verb. By modal verb, I mean words like can, could, will, would, shall, should, may, might, must. So they are all modal verbs. Now, they are always followed by the base form of a verb, like in this case, play or get, go, eat, etc. So, and they change the meaning and time of the sentence. So, it's all about the modal verb. The modal verb is king in this situation. The modal verb is the boss. Okay, does that make sense? So let's take a look at your first sentence. I would play tennis. What does it mean? It means that in the past, I would often play tennis. So the formula is would plus base verb. Okay, so it can describe a past habit. Something that you did before, but you don't do anymore. So, in all honesty, I think it's quite an old-fashioned structure, and although it's a really beautiful and poetic way to speak, it's not used all that much in daily conversation these days. So we would probably use the used to structure these days. I used to play tennis. So that's much more modern than I would play tennis. I used to play tennis is the modern version of that one. So how about your second sentence? I could get the ticket yesterday. This means I was able to get the ticket yesterday. So could here shows past ability or possibility. And get is the base verb. So, but could gives the sentence a past meaning. Again, modal verb is king. So in conclusion, the modal verb would, could, etc. gives the sentence its meaning and time in relation to past, present, or future. The base form of the verb stays the same, doesn't change, but the modal verb does the grammar work. So the modal verb is the one which is doing all the work. It's doing the heavy lifting, but the base verb is just there and it doesn't really do very much. Okay, so I hope that kind of answers your question. Thanks very much. Okay, good question. The next question is from Katri7621. It says, the best occasion to use identify or identical. Sometimes I wonder which one is the right word to use among detect, identify, discover, and find out. So I try myself to use identify, but not sure if I use this in the right occasion. So in other words, sometimes after explaining something, the opponent does not fully understand what I explained. And in this case, I use, let me put it this way, or in other words. Do you have any other good sentences? It's not to correct what I said, rather than give supplemental explanation from a different angle. Okay, so the first question here is the difference between identify and identical. So identify is a verb. It's an important point, which means to recognize or name someone or something correctly. Identify. Imagine I show you a photograph of me in my high school class. And can you identify which one is me? Do you know which one is me? Can you identify which one is me? Can you recognize me? Can you pick me out from the group? Identical is an adjective. And it means exactly the same in every detail. We often use this when we're talking about twins. So you can have identical twins who look almost exactly the same, and you can have fraternal twins who look similar but not exactly the same. Your next question is the difference between these three similar verbs. Actually, you give me 4 verbs. I should talk about the find out as well. So detect, identify, and discover. So I'd like to compare these 3 verbs. So first, let's focus on detect. Now, you notice or you sense something is there, and it's often kind of hidden or small. It's kind of like you notice something, but you don't exactly know what it is yet. Okay, so think of Detective Conan. Yeah, everybody knows him. It's a good example, I think. He knows something is wrong, but he still needs to investigate to find the exact answer. So he is detecting the information and putting the story together. Another one is a smoke detector. How about a smoke detector? So it knows there is smoke, and when the alarm goes off, that's all. It just tells you there's smoke. After that, it's up to you to take the action. How about a metal detector? So at the airport, it detects you have something metal, but it's up to the airport security staff to check you. The machine only detects the problem. It doesn't do anything else. The next one is identify. So you know exactly what something is. You recognize it and give it a name or a label. So for example, this bird is a bald eagle. I identified the bird and the species, and I gave it a clear name. I identified the bird. So identify is often used after you detect something. Okay, so Detective Conan, going back to Conan, Detective Conan first detects some information from the clues and finally identifies the bad guy. So first we have detect, and then we move on to identify. That's the process. Let's move on to discover. So this is kind of a different one in that you find something new, usually for the first time. Discover. You find out something or somewhere you or other people didn't know existed. I'd say this is most often used for places, facts, or ideas. So probably the best example would be Christopher Columbus discovered America. We discovered a beautiful beach while traveling. I discovered a hole in my jacket this morning. discover. So you can find it for big things like discover a whole nation. You can discover a location. You can discover a little hole in your jacket. So you find something new that you never knew existed before, and maybe you tell everybody about it. You discover something. Maybe you've heard of the Discovery Channel, the TV channel, where they discover lots of interesting new information and facts. Now, you also said something else in your question there, which I didn't quite get to. Find out. So when you find out something, this is kind of like investigating. You find out. It's similar to discover, but it seems like there's more research going on. If you find out, like you're finding out new information, but it's kind of like find out is more like information than like discover is like a beach or a country or like little hole. It's used for lots of different things, but find out is mainly used just for information. For instance, you could say, I found out my wife is having an affair. You got the information. I found out. I found out they're opening a new Don Quixote in our city. I found out. So you're maybe doing a little bit of research or just talking to someone and you get new information. So you find out something new. Okay. And maybe you wanted to have some other questions there. You said, do you have any other good sentences? Let me put this way, or in other words, how about this expression here? Let me elaborate, or let me go into detail. I think that's a good one. Elaborate is a good word. Elaborate. Let me elaborate. So that means to go into detail. Okay, so there's another expression for you. Let me elaborate. Or, another good one. Let me expand on that point. Let me expand on that point. Okay, so to expand is to go from this size to expand. Okay, let me expand on that a little bit. Expand. I'll give you more information, more examples. Okay, so I hope that makes some kind of sense there. Let's move on to the next question. Okay, our next question is from, I should have gotten the username here, but it says user OY2GM6BI6P. Yeah, whatever that means. But thanks very much for your question. I love that user handle. Why does YouTube give out these funky handles? Okay, it says, hi Scott, it's nice to meet you. I've been watching your videos for quite some time, but this is my first time writing a comment. Thank you for always teaching us so much. Oh, you're very welcome. I'd like to ask you about the difference between chance and opportunity. For example, you wrote, this is a very good chance for you. Would it change the nuance if I wrote, this is a very good opportunity for you? Apologies if this has already been covered somewhere. Looking forward to hearing from you. Smiley face. Okay, now that's an interesting question. So we're looking at the difference between the words chance and opportunity. Okay, now that's actually a very probing question that I'm sure even native speakers wouldn't be able to answer in a hurry. So first, let's look at opportunity. So this feels much more structured and kind of planned. Okay, it's often used in a positive way, and it's when there is a good situation to do something, an opportunity. So we often hear it being used in business, education, and politics, those kinds of places. So the kind of area that involves a lot of planning and strategy. Then we have an opportunity. Okay, so it's a very structured way of talking, an opportunity. So an example sentence would be, he was given the opportunity to work in Sweden for 3 years. So maybe he worked really hard and he produced some good results. So maybe his managers, his bosses decided, looking at it strategically, okay, we're going to give you the opportunity. Sounds better to say opportunity than chance in this case because it seems pretty serious and it's like a decision. Do you know what I mean? The next one, appearing on Kohaku was a tremendous opportunity for the young enka singer. So, you know, the New Year singing show, Kohaku, if a young enka singer is given the opportunity, so it's like planned by, I don't know, by the music company or by the TV company. They want to put the spotlight on this new young singer because they want to maybe improve their sales, or they want to, they want to make money from this situation. So it's kind of a business strategy, or they're trying to build up this young singer to make them into the next big star. So they were given a tremendous opportunity. It's very good for their career. So it sounds like they worked hard for it and that they somehow deserve it. It's not a reward, but it's kind of similar to a reward. Now, chance, on the other hand, sounds altogether more random. I wouldn't go as far as to say it's luck, but it's less structured and planned than the word opportunity. So it can be positive or neutral, but, and here's the key point, it feels kind of casual. It's kind of like casual. Ooh, we've got a nice chance. Sounds casual, kind of very light, if you know what I mean. An example sentence would be, I had the chance to meet Tom Cruise when he came to Japan. So it sounds kind of lucky, doesn't it? It seems kind of like unplanned. I had the chance to meet him. Don't pass up this chance. You're really lucky to get it. So we're using the word lucky. If you get a chance, usually it feels kind of lucky, not so much as a structured decision or like a planned thing with opportunity. There's a chance it might snow tomorrow. So we also use the word chance for talking about the possibility of things happening. There is a chance he might be late. There's a chance it might snow tomorrow. There's a chance he's not coming to the party. That kind of thing, yeah? So in conclusion, okay, opportunity feels more serious, formal, and planned. Chance feels more random, casual, and perhaps kind of lucky. Okay, I hope that clears up the difference between opportunity and chance. The next question is from Hannah. Hannah Hirano. Hello, Hannah. Thanks for your question. Let's read it. Jack helped Emma fix her bike, but they couldn't fix it. This sentence appears grammatically correct, but I think it's logically inconsistent. It contains a contradiction, doesn't it? If you literally translated it into Japanese, you would never notice the contradiction. Jack はエマが自動車を直すのを手伝ったが、二人は直せなかった。So the first part, John helped Mary fix her bike, implies success. They fixed it. Second part, but they couldn't fix it implies failure. But they didn't fix it. So Hannah is suggesting these ones are better. Jack tried to help Emma fix her bike, but they couldn't fix it. Jack helped Emma try to fix her bike, but they couldn't fix it. These two sentences sound logical, don't they? I have to have a drink. Okay, so let's start off by taking a close look at the sentence in question. Jack helped Emma fix her bike, but they couldn't fix it. Now, when I first looked at this sentence, I couldn't find anything wrong with it. Sorry, Hannah. I understood the situation 100% and didn't read anything too deeply into it. Now, however, as someone who has a very inquisitive and sharp mind, of course, I'm talking about you, Hannah, she found that it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't make logical sense in that it's not stating clearly enough with what's happening in the scene. Okay, so putting linguistics aside, I think it's just fine as it is, to be honest with you. I don't see any big deal with it. Jack helped Emma fix her bike, but they couldn't fix it. So because we're using the verb help, that verb itself doesn't imply that it was a successful outcome. It just means that they did it together. I assumed that they tried, but I don't know if they succeeded or not. So in my book, it's fine as it is. The listener will infer that they are trying to fix it. However, if you want to make the perfect logical sentence, then the sentences Hannah provided would fit the bill. So great job, Hannah. Those were very logical. And, looking at it from a linguistic point of view, they make much more sense. But, so let's read those sentences again that you made. Jack tried to help Emma fix her bike, but they couldn't fix it. Jack helped Emma try to fix her bike, but they couldn't fix it. So that's the interesting thing about comparing English and Japanese. Sometimes English is very, very detailed and Japanese isn't. But in other situations, Japanese is super detailed, but English is much more kind of fuzzy, shall we say? So for example, when talking about back pain, in Japanese, people often talk about the various parts of the back, like, koshi ga itai. My lower back hurts. Senaka ga itai. My upper or middle back hurts. But in English, it's very simple. I have a sore back. So in that case, Japanese is very detailed, but English, it's much more general. Just the whole back is the pain point, The same goes for a sentence like, in English, we would say, I have eaten lunch. Whereas in Japanese, you might say, I ate lunch. But you mean the same thing as I have eaten lunch. So as an English speaker, I have eaten lunch sounds much more logical, but to a Japanese speaker, I ate lunch or hirogohan wo tabeta seems to make the most sense due to the grammatical differences and the way both languages work in situations like these. So in conclusion, Hannah, I think the very first sentence that you gave me, what was it again? Jack helped Emma fix her bike, but they couldn't fix it. For me, actually, it's okay. I can understand what they're talking about. But your logical ones were also really good. So I think you can use all three of them and nobody would bat an eyelid. Okay, so that is the end of this video. That's our 7 questions. Thanks everyone for sending in your questions. I'll probably do another one of these videos every 2, 3, 4 months, depending on what happens with my crazy schedule. But thanks very much, and we'll see you in the next video.